1.5 million tons of frog meat, 70% of global production, one country. China's industrial frog farms aren't just feeding a nation, they're changing how we grow food. Behind these walls, 250,000 frogs will grow from tiny eggs to full size in just 120 days. A single female frog can lay 20,000 eggs at once. These farms make more food in less space than any cow or pig farm. China isn't only known for its tasty food, but also for leading the world in frog farming. People in China eat more frog meat than anywhere else, about 1.5 million tons every year. Today, we'll take you inside these amazing farms. You'll see every step, from egg to dinner plate. We'll show you the special tanks, the feeding robots, and the careful way farmers help frogs grow big and healthy. At the heart of China's massive frog farms are special buildings where everything starts. These buildings have many large tanks filled with clean water. The water temperature stays between 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, perfect for frogs. The breeding process begins with selecting the best adult frogs. Farmers look for healthy frogs that grow fast and produce many eggs. This helps them pick frogs that will make the strongest babies. In the breeding tanks, each female frog can lay between 1,000 to 20,000 eggs in a single batch. That's like filling a soup bowl with tiny black dots. These eggs look like small black beads covered in clear jelly. The male frogs release their sperm over these eggs to make babies. This happens in special tanks where cameras watch everything and computers control the water. On big farms, robots collect these eggs using gentle suction tubes. The eggs then move to hatching tanks. Some farms sell these eggs to other farmers, creating extra money while they wait for their own frogs to grow. After about 7 to 10 days, tiny tadpoles break out of the eggs. A big farm might have millions of tadpoles swimming in their tanks at once. These tadpoles breathe through gills, just like fish. They swim by wiggling their tails and eat by filtering tiny food bits from the water. Feeding these millions of tadpoles is a big job. The smallest tadpoles eat special food that floats in the water. This food contains algae, vitamins, and proteins that help them grow strong. As they get bigger, they eat slightly larger food. Modern farms use automatic feeders that spray the perfect amount of food across the water surface several times a day. As tadpoles grow, they need more space. Workers or robots move them to bigger tanks with slightly deeper water. About 3 to 6 weeks after hatching, something amazing happens. The tadpoles start to change. First, tiny back legs appear, then front legs pop out. Their tails slowly get shorter, their bodies change shape, their gills disappear, and lungs form inside their bodies. This change is called metamorphosis, when a tadpole turns into a small frog. They can't swim as well as before, and they need to breathe air now. Modern farms create special tanks with shallow and deep areas. The small frogs can climb onto the shallow parts to breathe while still jumping into deeper water when scared. They stop eating plant food and start eating tiny insects and worms. Modern farms grow special insects like fruit flies and tiny crickets to feed these changing frogs. Some farms use mealworms that they grow in separate rooms full of wheat bran. Workers watch carefully for any young frogs that have trouble changing. Some might not grow legs properly or might have other problems. The healthiest young frogs move to the growing ponds where they will become adults. In these ponds, the young frogs learn to catch moving food. Farmers release small insects into the ponds, and the frogs learn to jump and catch them. This helps the frogs develop strong muscles and good hunting skills. Some modern farms use moving food dispensers that drop crickets or worms into different parts of the pond throughout the day, keeping the frogs active and healthy. As the frogs grow bigger, workers sort them by size. This stops bigger frogs from taking all the food from smaller ones. The water in these ponds needs constant care. Big bubbling machines add oxygen to the water, making it easier for the frogs to breathe through their skin. Water pumps keep the water moving and filters remove waste. By the end of this first stage, the tiny eggs have turned into young frogs about the size of a thumb. From 20,000 eggs, perhaps 15,000 will survive as young frogs. The journey from egg to young frog takes about 2 months in the warm farm buildings. Now these young frogs are ready to grow into adults that will end up on dinner plates around the world. The young frogs now enter the main growing phase where they will reach their full size. This stage happens in larger ponds or tanks that can hold thousands of frogs. In modern Chinese farms, these growing areas are carefully designed with both deep and shallow sections. The shallow areas let frogs rest and breathe easily, while deeper parts give them space to swim. The best farms keep the water between 24 to 28 degrees Celsius, which helps frogs grow quickly. Heating pipes run under the concrete floors of the indoor ponds, and cooling systems activate when summers get too hot. Adult frogs eat much more than tadpoles or young frogs. A growing frog eats about 3 to 5% of its body weight each day. For a farm with 100,000 frogs, that means preparing hundreds of kilograms of food daily. The food includes live insects like crickets and mealworms, plus special frog pellets made from fish meal, soybean, vitamins, and minerals. Water quality becomes even more important as frogs grow bigger. Each frog produces waste that can make the water dirty quickly. Large filter systems clean the water constantly, removing waste and adding fresh oxygen. Disease prevention is a major focus during this stage. Frogs can get sick from fungi, bacteria, or parasites if their environment isn't clean. Instead of using many chemicals, modern farms prevent disease through good management. They regularly drain and clean sections of ponds, exposing them to sunlight, which kills many germs naturally. As frogs grow, workers or sorting machines separate them by size. This prevents larger frogs from bullying smaller ones for food. After about 4 to 6 months in the growing ponds, the frogs reach market weight of 0.5 to 1.2 kilograms each. At this point, each pond might hold 1 to 3 tons of frogs. Harvest time begins early in the morning when the frogs are less active. After collection, the frogs move to cleaning tanks with fresh flowing water. They stay here for 24 to 48 hours without food. This helps clean their digestive systems before processing, improving the final meat quality. The largest, healthiest frogs often go to export markets where they fetch higher prices. Medium-sized frogs typically supply domestic restaurants, while smaller ones might go to local markets. The processing begins in spotlessly clean rooms where workers wear masks, gloves, and special clothing to keep everything sanitary. First, the frogs receive a quick electric shock that humanely stuns them before processing. Skilled workers then remove the skin and internal organs, leaving only the valuable white meat. This meat consists mainly of the legs and back muscles. A good processor can prepare hundreds of frogs per hour. The cleaned frog meat moves to inspection tables where quality control staff check each piece. Next comes the packaging process. The meat gets weighed and placed in plastic trays or vacuum-sealed bags. Each package receives a label with tracking information, production date, and expiration date. For export products, additional labels show certification information and meet the importing country's requirements. The packaged frog meat then enters flash freezers that quickly bring the temperature down to minus 18 degrees Celsius or lower. Some premium products are shipped fresh, not frozen in ice-packed containers, mainly to high-end restaurants. From the initial young frogs to the final packaged product, this growing and harvesting phase takes about 4 to 6 months. A well-managed farm can complete 2 to 3 growing cycles per year, producing tons of high-quality frog meat for markets worldwide. As one pond gets harvested, another pond with younger frogs is already growing. Frog meat reaches kitchens across China and worldwide in various forms. The meat offers impressive nutrition. 100 grams contains about 16 grams of protein but only 0.3 grams of fat, making it healthier than many other meats. It's also rich in calcium, potassium, and vitamin A. In Chinese cuisine, frog meat stars in several famous dishes. Crispy fried frog features pieces coated in seasoned flour and fried until golden and crunchy. Beyond China, French cuisine uses frog legs in dishes like cuisse de grenouille, typically sautéed with garlic and butter. In the United States and Singapore, high-end restaurants increasingly offer frog meat as a sustainable protein alternative. The future looks promising for China's frog farming industry. Global demand continues rising as more people discover this sustainable protein source. From tiny eggs to delicious meals, China's modern frog farms represent a remarkable blend of ancient farming wisdom and cutting-edge technology. They provide nutritious food, create thousands of jobs, and offer a more sustainable protein alternative for our growing world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through China's amazing frog farming industry. Would you try a dish made with farm-raised frog meat? Share your thoughts in the comments below.